Who was pointing that gun at you?
It was Carly.
While the events on March 19th were tragic, the events on March 19th were not intentional.
Ladies and gentlemen, she is dangerous. She may look like a little girl. They may have said she's sweet little Carly, but unfortunately, we all know that that's not true.
Haunting video.
Carly Gregg, a 15-year-old girl from Mississippi, stunned the nation when she was convicted of first-degree murder in the brutal killing of her own mother. In March 2024, Carly fatally shot 40-year-old schoolteacher Ashley Smiley, her mother, at the...
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, if she proceeds to trial, count one, what's the potential sentence?
Life.
If the jury fails to affix the sentence at life, what's the sentencing range?
20 years to 40 years.
All right, and count two, what's the potential sentence?
Between 20 years and life.
All right, she's 14 years old, so if the jury fails to affix the punishment at life, she's facing 50 years.
Give or take, Your Honor, yes.
Okay, and in count three, what is she facing?
Another 10 years.
Another 10 years. So the jury will either acquit you, or you'll be facing 2 life sentences, or this court can sentence you up to 93 years. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
It's your choice and your choice alone to proceed to trial.
Yes, Your Honor.
Let's see.
I mean, you'll hear testimony throughout the next few days during this case. You'll hear about some secret life that Carly lived. You'll hear that Carly had a secret boyfriend. You'll hear that Carly had a secret iPod, that she had secret social media accounts that she was using to communicate with people on this iPod when her parents had taken her phone away. You'll hear that she had secret weed vape pens, and that she was secretly smoking those vape pens and getting high before going to school at times. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not why we're here though. We're here because of what she did on March the 19th, 2024. When they get inside the house, it's only their 2 dogs, Ashley Smiley and Carly Gregg. Immediately, Carly goes and lets the dogs out. You'll hear testimony that Ashley then goes into Carly's room. You'll hear that while Ashley is in her room, that Carly's still outside. At some point, Ashley finds what law enforcement believed to be the 4 boxes that contain vape pens. Testimony will be that we believe she carried them from Carly's room to her bedroom, went back to searching Carly's room. The evidence will show that almost immediately upon Carly coming inside the house, that she walks straight to her parents' bedroom, that she goes straight to her mom's side of the bed and removes a .357 Magnum from under the mattress. We believe the testimony will be that then she concealed that .357 Magnum behind her back. As she walks through the kitchen, she peeks her head around. We believe the testimony will show that she peeks her head around the kitchen to make sure that her mom hasn't come out of her bedroom. We believe the evidence will then show that she walked with that .357 Magnum behind her back, walked in to her own bedroom, and then fired 3 shots into her mother, killing her. We believe the testimony will then be that that very moment after she shot and killed her mother, she then hides that gun back out of the camera, walks back into that kitchen, sits down on a stool with the gun behind her, picks up her mother's cell phone, puts her mom's passcode into the phone. We believe the testimony will be that then she texts her stepdad and said something to the effect of, "When will you be home, honey?" Testimony will be that then she waited for him to respond. "I'll be a little bit longer." She sends him a thumbs up.
And what was the reason for Mr. Smiley calling 911?
He called because he had been shot. At first he said he had grazed the neck. Once during the middle of the call, he then stated that his wife was also shot dead on the floor, and continued to talk to him until deputies arrived on scene.
She's dead on the floor and my daughter kept on screaming. She's on the floor. Ashley Smiley. Ashley Smiley.
So when
Who was pointing that gun at you?
It was Carly.
Who?
Smiley, her mother, at their home in a chilling act of violence. It all started when Carly's friend became concerned about her marijuana use. One of them reported it to their parents, and word reaches Ashley, who was furious. As soon as they got home, Ashley went straight to Carly's room to search for drugs. At the same time, Carly had gone to her parents' bedroom and retrieved .357 Magnum revolver from beneath the mattress. She waited for the right moment, then walked back to her room, where she fired 3 shots into her mother, killing her instantly. After the shooting, proud of what she done. Then she grabbed her mom's phone and pretended to be Ashley, texting her stepfather, Heath Smiley, asking him to come home. When Heath walked through the door, Carly opened fire again, but this time he survived. Despite being shot, Heath managed to wrestle the gun away from her and dial 911. Carly and her friend fled the scene before police arrived. Officers reached the house minutes later and
details of it, but I knew what we were doing. I came out there to assist look for her. When I came to look for her, I came on Farmington Boulevard out there. I think it was around 5 o'clock, 5:30. I can't remember the exact time. When I was coming down Farmington Boulevard, there was traffic in front of me, traffic behind me, because it's a big neighborhood. I looked to my right. I saw her standing there, a female. That's what I knew we were looking for. I immediately put the car in park. I hopped out. I said, "Are you involved in this incident that happened in this neighborhood?" She goes, "Yes, sir, I am. It's my stepdad, okay?" And I said, "I can't talk to you about that." I put her in handcuffs, put her in my car, and we began to go to the scene.
now going back to 24.
Based on your evaluation, was there a period of time in which Carly's mental health issues began to be more significant?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
So beginning from around the age of 9 or so, what Carly reported was that she began to feel depressed, that the auditory hallucinations, meaning she was hearing voices, that those continued, that these experiences of feeling like the world wasn't real continued. And then somewhere between the ages of 9 and 11, the depression continued, and she then began to cut herself. And as I understand it, she'd been cutting herself for about 2 years, so starting around the age of 12, that she would, on a fairly regular basis, make superficial cuts on her thighs as a way to help manage her anxiety and distress.
And Clark read to the court from Carly.
She writes, "I think I had a psychotic break earlier. The whole ordeal was quite silly. I actually spoke with one of the voices in my head. Well, I didn't hear them until earlier today, but I only do then. My particular friend and I were practically screaming, bloodthirstily and ravenously. Thank God, physical confrontation was not, and I think it's fruitively, possible. I sound crazy." In the period of time up until March 12th, Carly reported that her mood was flat, that she was zombie, that she was still quite depressed, she was still cutting. She also reported that the voices were getting worse, that they were becoming more urgent, more prominent, and she was beginning to worry that they were taking over for her. Now, she told me that the only thing the voices said to her were things that were kind of elitist, like, "You're better than those people." Like, that's the only thing she told me they said. So her mood is poor, the voices are getting worse. Her sleep continues to be bad, and she's smoking marijuana on 2 or 3 times a week. She also reported she had a fair amount of anxiety during this time as well.
What, if any, other hypothesis did you rule out?
So I think 2 other ones that I ruled out in particular. One is that Carly may have just panicked, right? That she's emotionally fragile. This is a big deal that her mother finding out. That in the moment, and she's a teenager, right? In the moment she just panicked and did something heedless. The problem I have with that, the one problem is, when I saw the video of the kitchen at 4:10 in the afternoon, you hear the shot, she comes in, she looks to me to be cool and collected and unemotional. I would have expected, had she panicked, that she would be quite agitated and emotionally aroused. I didn't see that at all. And then I see her engaged in this plan to shoot her stepfather, which makes no sense to me. If she had panicked and done this with her mother, why in the world? I mean, even that is somewhat incomprehensible. But why in the world would she then plan an hour later to shoot her stepfather? That makes no sense to me. Why would she invite friends over to the house? So to me, her emotional flatness in particular, and the sort of the continuation of the plan, just didn't make any sense. The other hypothesis that I considered is that she's callous, right? She's just, for some reason, she had it in for her mother and thought her mother deserved it, right? She just decided she was going to do this. The problem I have with that is that so much of what she did seems senseless. That both, like taking down the video camera and putting it in the refrigerator makes no sense to me. That planning to shoot her father, her stepfather, makes no sense. That having friends come over makes no sense. So to me, and that goes against everything that I know about who Carly is, right? There's nothing in her past history that would indicate that she has the capability of doing something like that in such a callous way. So those are the 2 other hypotheses. And so I put this together, acknowledging that it's not perfect, right? It's a hard situation, and not everything lines up. But I'll say that the whole situation is sort of perplexing and difficult. For me, this is the hypothesis that best fits the information that I have. I think Carly has a much more severe psychiatric illness than anybody realized, and that she was able to acknowledge, or even that she's able to acknowledge today. And that combined with her history of dissociation sort of created this terrible situation.
But the prosecution also called expert witnesses to the stand to rebut the suggestion that Carly was hearing voices or suffering from psychosis. Olivia Liebert, this psychiatric nurse practitioner, she saw Carly at a mental health clinic.
At any point during that evaluation with Ms. Gregg, did she report that she was hearing voices?
No.
In fact, I think the very last line you said, again, she denies suicidal ideations, that she denied homicidal ideations, is that right?
Right.
And that she denied AVH,
Auditory visual hallucinations.
A minute later and found Henneth wounded but alive. EMTs stabilized him and rushed him to the hospital. Carly was arrested later that day. During the trial, prosecutor described how premeditated the act was, from retrieving the gun to waiting for the right moment. It was all deliberate. But Carly's defense attorney argued she was a victim too. They claimed she suffered from undiagnosed mental illness and didn't understand what she was doing. They told the court that no one, neither her family nor her friends, had realized Carly was suffering mentally. They urged the jury to find her not guilty by reason of insanity. The courtroom also heard dramatic 911 recordings and saw footage from the first officer on the scene showing the chaotic aftermath of the shooting. Even with the defense play, the prosecution pushed back, insisting her actions were calculated and intentional. It didn't take long for the jury to decide Carly Gregg was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. A tragic, haunting case that left her family destroyed and a community asking why.
Gentlemen, there's no doubt that Carly Madison Gregg is the one who killed her mom, Ashley Smiley. There's no doubt that she attempted to kill P. Smiley when she aimed the gun right at his head and shot and hit him in the shoulder. And there's no doubt that she's the one who hid the camera, thus tampering with evidence in the refrigerator. And we would ask you that you go back there and you find her guilty of all three, because she was not insane at the time that this happened. She knew exactly what she was doing, and she knew the difference between right and wrong.
But the defense said this case is more complicated than that.
The truth is rarely pure and never simple. That's what Oscar Wilde said. And while she was having a state of psychosis, in an episode of acute stress on March 19th, she lost herself in what was the perfect storm. I am asking you, for those reasons, to please find Carly.
With your attorneys. All right, the verdict's appear to be in proper form. Verdict of the jury is count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant, Carly Madison Gregg, guilty of first-degree murder as charged in the indictment. Count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant, Carly Madison Gregg, guilty of attempted murder as charged in the indictment. Count 3. We, the jury, find the defendant, Carly Madison Gregg, guilty of tampering with evidence as charged in the indictment. Please be seated, Ms. Gregg.
And Carly Gregg
To life in prison without the possibility of parole. A tragic, haunting case that left